Hello, in this video I'll be showing you how to create a simple daily expense tracker. Okay, so a simple daily expense tracker will help you to track daily expenses. All right, so we're going to have a simple template with three major columns. The first column will be our dates column. The second column will be the description of the expense, and the third column will be the amount column. All right, so to prepare this template, you need the Google Sheets app. Google Sheets is a spreadsheet software by Google. All right, so if you don't have Google Sheets app on your phone, go to Play Store and download so that you can practice and create your own daily expense tracker. So what you do is, the first thing is to name your columns. So you're going to put the names of your column in the first row, that is row 1. That is where the names of your column will go. So the first column will be your dates column, so you can make it in capital letter. So okay, dates, description, amount. I want to make it in capital letter, amount. All right, so you can make it bold. To make it bold, just select the three together using that small dot. Select the three. No, that's not what I want to do. Select the three together and click on this B at the bottom, so it will become bold. All right, then the next thing to do is to validate your dates column. So data validation is what helps you to ensure regularity in your data entry. Okay, you know there are different ways of writing dates. Some might write 1st of January 2025, 1st January 2025, 01 January 2025, January 1 2025. They are all saying the same thing, but a spreadsheet will not recognize these dates as the same. Okay, so you want to ensure uniformity in your dates. So you need to do what is called data validation in this dates column. Okay, so what you do is you validate that column. You click on, see this alphabet at the top. Okay, so you click on that. When you click on that alphabet, the whole column will be highlighted. So we have highlighted our dates column. The next thing to do is to go and do our data validation. Okay, so to do our data validation, you see these three dots here. That's where we're going to click. So when you click on that, you can see data validation here. So you click on data validation. All right, so now this data validation is asking us what is our range of cells that we want to validate. So what this first row, what this means is that this is our sheet 1, and then we have highlighted the whole column. So that column is column A. So that's why that is what is meant by A column A. So from beginning of column A to the end of column A. All right, but remember that our first row in that column is our title row. Okay, so we don't want it flagging our title that it is not conforming to the date format. Okay, so let's do something now. So instead of it saying A to the end of A, we are going to put a 2 in front of that A. Okay, so that is to show that from second row of column A. So that is A2 to A. Then we say criteria is what? Date. Okay, so you can see here date is valid. So you select date is valid, then you click on save. So our date column has been validated. So to confirm that it has been validated, we'll click on any cell in that column, then we click on this formula bar. So when we click on this formula bar, look at this icon, that is our calendar. So it will now attach a calendar to this column, such that when we want to enter our date, we don't just type our dates anyhow. We don't even have to type our date. We just open the calendar and select our required date. So that's way all the dates that we'll be entering as we enter our expenses is going to be uniform. Okay, so if I click OK now, you see this is 2nd of February. So if I go and select another date, you see 3rd of February. So it's going to continue to be uniform like that. All right, then the next thing is our description column. We don't have much to do except to widen the column. You can see that this space is so small, so and description is something that will need to enter a lot of text. So to widen it, see this small arrow that looks like two arrows facing themselves inside a circle. That's what you will click on to widen the column, so you can make it as wide as you desire. Okay, then our amount column, that is where we enter our amount. All right, so right now our template is almost ready. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is to automate this template to track our daily expenses. All right, so for you to track our daily expenses, we are going to create a small box where we'll put our formula. So to create that small box, just click on any cell. So let's create our box a little bit far from our main template. So we want to make our box to have like, let's say 6 cells. So you click on this small dot. You see there are 2 dots. One is at the left upper part, the other is at the right bottom part. So you click that one that is at the right bottom part and take it to wherever you want your summary box to be. So let's stop here. Then you go to, you see this bottom place in here, so we want to give it borders. It's asking us what kind of border, so you select this first cell here. Okay, then you can choose border style to select the type of borders you want. So I always like thick border lines. Okay, so you can just click out. So you see that we now have a box with thick lines. Okay, so now this is where we are going to put our formula for our daily expenses and then a formula for total expenses. All right, so here now I'm going to say total expenses. So see here, this thing, if it's in 1 2 3, you'll be seeing a number keyboard. So to switch to an alphabet keyboard, just tap on it again, so it will switch to alphabet. Okay, so that is just the way it is. Just switch depending on what you want to type. So now I want to type text, so I'll type on this to change to alphabet. So I'm going to say this is total. Okay, I can just leave it as total or total expense. Total is fine, I can leave it as total. When you make yours, you can write it in full total expense, and then you have to drag and expand the cell so that it can take the whole thing. Okay, so we're going to have our total expense, then our daily expense. Okay, so let's say I want our total expense to be here. So for us to have our total expense, we want to sum up everything in the amount column. So we're going to put a formula there that will sum up our expenses. So for any formula, you need to use the equal to sign. So the first thing you select is you click on equal to sign, then you say sum. So you see it has brought up some things at the top here. So just tap on sum, and then it's asking you what do you want to sum. So remember, we want to sum up our amount column, and then our amount column is column C, date column is column A, description column is column B, amount column is column C. So we're just going to say sum up everything in column C. So to refer to column C, you say C column C. So you see it's going to sum up everything in that column. So for you to be sure that it's going to sum it up, so let's just put random amounts in that column. You see it has put that amount there. Let's type something else. You see that summed it up. Let's type something else in the third column that summed it up. Let's put something else in our fourth column. So you see it's going to keep adding everything up. So whatever expenses goes into this template is going to sum it up and put it under total expenses. Now let's create for our daily expenses. Okay, so for us to put for our daily expenses, we're going to need to do 2 automations here. First, we'll automate the date, and then we'll automate how to sum the amount. Okay, so where do we want to put that? So let's put our date here. This is just the title, date. Then the next cell is amount. Okay, never mind, this in small letters. Okay, so our date is going to be in this column. That's this one in the middle here. Then our amount will be in this one under. Okay, so now the only thing we need to do in this date box is the same thing we did for our date column, which is data validation. So you go to these three dots as well, data validation. Let's look at the name of the cell. Okay, so this cell is F2. Okay, the cell is F2. So data validation F2. Okay, so date is valid. That's all. So that cell now, for us to be sure is working, look at that cell. If you come here, can you see that a calendar is now here? So we'll just use the calendar to select the date that we want to find the daily expenses for that day. And then we come to our amount column, and then we put a formula that is a sum if formula. We call it a sum if formula. So we want to say sum if it is this date. That is the meaning of sum if. Sum it if it is this date. So we say equal to sum if. You select that sum if. So now pay attention. Okay, so this is the formula for sum if. When using spreadsheet, you don't need to cram any formula. Okay, just once you put in the command, it's going to give you the formula. So you just select your range of data. Okay, so the first one is the range. Okay, so what is the range of based on which you want to sum? So our range is going to be this date column. Okay, so remember our date column is column A, and our date starts from the second row. We are going to say that our range is A to column A, that is from A2 to the end of A. Then you put comma. Then our criterion, what is the criterion based on which you want it to sum? Our criterion is the date. So sum if it is this date. Okay, so we now tap on that cell. No, it is this one, that cell in front of date. So that is F2. So that cell is F2. So our formula is range, which is A2 to A, the whole of the date column. So that is the range based on which we want to sum. Our criterion is whatever date we put in this F2, and our sum range is our amount column. So our amount column is column C, and our amount starts from C2, that is the second row on C, because the first row is the heading of the column. So we're going to say C2 to the end of C, and then you click OK. So you see it has put 0 there, that is indicating that a formula is there. So now we want to confirm that our formula is working. So let's put 3 expenses. Let's put more expenses. Let's put dates. So let's just say this to let's just use these 2 dates. Okay, so now we have expenses for 2nd of February and 3rd of February. So now let's come to our dates and select one of these dates. So let's say we select 2nd of February. So this amount here is the daily expenses for that 2nd of February. If you come here and change this date to 3rd of February, so you see the amount has changed. So this template will give you your daily expenses. So once you continue using the template, you put the different dates on which you make different expenses. Remember, you put your description here. I just omitted that not to make the video too long, so you can put your description here. And then once you do all of that, you can come here. You'll see your total expenses at the top, and here you will see your daily expenses. Thank you for watching.